Outlaw Law is brought to you by Whitaker and Hamer, attorneys and counselors at law. Your law firm for life.
Welcome back into the Outlaw Lawyers. Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, managing partners, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm, are your hosts. They're practicing attorneys here in the great state of North Carolina. Offices conveniently located in Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay, Varina, and Gastonia, as well as Morehead City, brand new in Morehead City. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate. Each and every week we talk legalese, a little bit of a Halloween edition, scary edition of the show. If you've got questions you're facing when it comes to legal, you can always contact the firm by calling 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact information, briefly what the call is about. An attorney with Whitaker and Hamer will be in touch. And again, you can always email your questions to the show, questions@theoutlawlawyer.com, and check out the website, theoutlawlawyer.com. Guys?
Before we continue our Halloween episode of The Outlaw Lawyer, and hopefully, Morgan, you got plans in post to put a lot of scary noises in here.
Yeah.
So I hope that, because
we should definitely do that.
I feel like some Scooby Doo noises is what we need. But I do want to encourage, if you listen to the show, if you have any comments on the show, good, bad, suggestions, give us a call. Shoot us an email. Again, and if we can help you with anything, or you have a legal matter that's pressing that you need attention to, our attorneys are always happy to hear from folks. I know we had a lot of calls last week. I don't know what we did last week to encourage, but our calls doubled last week. So we reached out to a lot of folks and had some good conversations and had some folks that did need legal help, legal representation, and the firm was able to take that on and assist. So we are here to help. So definitely don't be afraid to call for any reason or no reason. You can just leave us a message. And like I said, we're always open for suggestions, things to talk about. We can only have one Halloween episode a year. So this is, can't do this every week. So we do appreciate when folks do call in and like I said, we like to talk to people. We try to talk to everybody who calls in. So always happy to do that. But Joseph, what's our next case?
I like that, man. You can call for no reason. I'm anticipating we just get a lot of calls of people just breathing heavy.
Try to
call us and breathe into the phone.
Yeah. Joe, what are you doing in your spare time? Heavy breathing.
Look, man, I think it's the ghost boy. The ghost boy here has me shook. Hey, man, Josh, you prepared this show for us. You didn't want to dress up, but you did do the legwork on this preparation, and this one you found is a fine. This is a fine case, man. I wanted to give you kudos for it.
This is an old case. This is early 1800s. So this is coming out of Britain. This is coming out of the London area. But this is one I think even in law school when we were in school and law school back in the olden days, and it was Halloween, and they wanted to kind of present something that was a little Halloween-y. This is one that came up. So this is the criminal trial of Francis Smith, and again, this is from the early 1800s. But this is one that was the basis of one of our questions here. This is, can you be found guilty of murder for shooting a ghost? So that was one of our intro questions. This is where it comes from. So here we had someone. What was this guy's name?
I got this, man. I got this. It's 1803 in the town of Hammersmith. And the village is terrorized by a ghostly figure that appears in all white and scares the townsfolks. And so the villagers and travelers have all claimed that they've seen this ghastly figure dressed in white that attacks them in the fog in the night. Like we're in England, right? It's foggy always, and it's always dark and dreary. And so you've got the townspeople and you've got people passing through, and they're all getting attacked by this white figure, this spirit, right? So that's the setting, and this is like a thing that has really captivated everybody. Everybody's aware of it, and it becomes such a thing that they basically put together a neighborhood watch. And, they're not all, it's the 1800s. I don't know if people were more inclined to believe in the supernatural back then. They didn't have the internet, so that could have contributed. But the townspeople basically come up with the logical conclusion that this is just a person, right? That's dressing up in a sheet and going out and terrorizing the people. So they develop like a neighborhood watch, and never have any success, right? They never have success with these patrols they're doing to really capture this person or this entity. And so at one point, there's this gentleman, Thomas Millwood. He's a bricklayer. He lives in the town, and he goes out on the regular in this very nice outfit that's basically all white. So he's got like white trousers. It's very unfortunate, these events, man. But everything he's wearing is white, and his family actually has warned him because it's so well known that there's this ghost out there doing these things, or this person pretended to be a ghost. And his family's like, look, man, you look like a ghost. Don't go out into the fog. Put a coat on. Do something different. Don't wear your white clothes because you're just asking for trouble, right? And so, would you know it? He goes out. He's got his white on. He doesn't put a coat on. He's walking down Black Lion Lane, and he is mistaken for the ghost. And Francis Smith, the person we mentioned at the beginning, actually, he's a customs officer, and it said that he had gotten frustrated with the lack of success of neighborhood watch groups finding this ghost. So he kind of takes it into his own hands and just starts camping out like in a deer blind, just looking for a ghost. So he actually shoots and kills Mr. Millwood, who is mistaken for the ghost, and that kind of sets the stage for this case.
Yeah, and so I think it's important. Mr. Millwood here wasn't doing anything, right? He wasn't acting menacing. He wasn't chasing. Mr. Smith here. He wasn't. He was just. I think the term I saw was lying in wait. Mr. Smith took Mr. Millwood as a ghost lying in wait, about to do something. And he shot him, as my kids would say. He straight up shot him.
He did.
Right in the mouth, it sounds like.
It's like you mentioned Scooby Doo earlier, man. This is a really messed up episode of Scooby Doo where Fred just pulls out a gun and blasts the old caretaker dressed up in the mask.
So he went on trial for murder, right? Mr. Smith shot a man who wasn't doing anything wrong, maybe didn't make the best decisions, the safest decisions, dressing all white and going out, but hadn't done anything wrong, hadn't assaulted anybody, hadn't menaced anybody. And Mr. Smith asserted the defense of self-defense, right? So that's a defense to the act of murder, that you're acting in your own defense, you're acting in self-defense. And the court didn't buy that. They said, Mr. Millwood's not doing anything wrong. You're what you believe, and this kind of echoes till today. If you go take your concealed carry permit class, they're going to spend a lot of time talking on, self-defense, defense of others. Your subjective belief as to what's going on doesn't trump what's actually going on, right? So if you see two people in a fight and you come to the rescue of the one you think's the victim, but it turns out that's just the aggressor, and you get involved and you hurt, harm, stop, kill the wrong person, well, guess what? What you thought was happening doesn't matter. It matters what's actually happening. And so here, his what I would call crazy subjective belief that Mr. Millwood was a ghost lying in wait didn't matter. That's not a. It doesn't sound like a defense at all. I guess back then maybe it was a little bit different. I think people were harder to trick back then, but.
Yeah, man. I think what I've taken from this case personally is that if the ghost boy does happen to show himself, I can't shoot first and ask questions later, And this is the thing, man. He just blasted this guy. Like, there was no report of anyone being harmed by the ghost, really. It was kind of just terrorizing the people, running after him. No one was actually injured. So that's pretty drastic response. And the other thing, man, I'm not a crime scene investigator from the 1800s, right? But it says that he shot him literally through the mouth. He shot him through the mouth. And it talks about how it was dark, it was foggy, he couldn't really make him out. It's pretty crazy coincidence there, Josh. Yeah, the
little summary of the case that we have in front of us, it says that for the deceased, Mr. Millwood was obviously killed, that his spirit still lingers in the town pub. And so talking about unfinished business, but I'm not a big guy who believes in things being haunted and things like that. I think it's all, kind of made up, like I guess the Clayton office's ghost boy. Somebody just made that up, right? And then it just takes on a life of its own, you know?
Yeah. So this guy, he gets killed, and that does not kill the ghost. The ghost actually continues to appear. But eventually, enough publicity about this death gets around that it's John Graham, who's a local shoemaker, actually steps forward and claims responsibility for being the ghost. And he says that he became the ghost and started scaring villagers to get revenge on his apprentices after they told his kids scary ghost stories. So that's some Scooby Doo stuff right there, man.
It's nonsensical. Yeah, it just doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway,
people had a lot of free time back in the 1800s is what I've determined from this.
But some of this is a British case from the 1800s, and the U.S. common law. When the U.S. court systems first got started, we brought over a lot of common law. So if you hear people talk about the common law, it's just kind of the underpinnings of the law, and that a lot of that came from Britain. So a lot of these ideas about self-defense and subjective determinations of what's going on and when you're in danger not really mattering, that comes from there. So it's a very old case, very Halloween-y, but still relevant. So that's about as good as we can do for a Halloween case.
The Outlaw Lawyers, Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, managing partners, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm. Again, Whitaker and Hamer, the power behind the program, the Outlaw Lawyers. They're practicing attorneys here in the great state of North Carolina. Offices in Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay, Varina, Gastonia, and Morehead City. We are having kind of a holiday edition for Halloween, or Halloweeny, and we'll talk more when we come back.